Hello people, 3 videos in one day, aren't we on a roll? Just an update really. I had a comment here by Ragnar Dainsgaard, and he made an interesting comment in relation to the Boris Johnson criminal prosecution by this lovely young man, Marcus J. Ball. He's got all his stuff on YouTube that he's been doing, so by all means you can see it at the bottom of the screen there, Marcus J. Ball. I'm surprised he's only got 309 subscribers, and bear in mind the obscure angle of education that I'm in terms of law education or law awareness. I'm surprised that someone who's had this much media light and has over 300,000, 6,000 supporters and £300,000 on his was it a GoFundMe or whatever it is for this court case. I don't understand how he's only got 309 subscribers to his YouTube channel. But anyway, but he's asked an interesting question, or he tried to highlight the interesting point that I was trying to make clear in my video, is that, you know, the most interesting aspect, and perhaps the only interesting aspect of this case, is that it's a private prosecution. I said, yeah. I thought that was good too. I thought, was he a truly private individual? Was he going at this on his own? You know, with his own education, his own appearances at court, not being represented, and trying to bring a pure private prosecution in relation to Marcus Ball going to court to take Boris Johnson to court. Was it going to be in that kind of vein? And this is why I was really interested by reading the judge's comments and things like that, and I was going into the details of this case, hoping that it would be such a case, but it's not. And the more I'm reading about this case, the more the case stinks already, as I've already highlighted in my previous video. But now I'm starting to doubt the credentials, I suppose is a way of saying it, of Marcus J. Ball. And I've just done a little bit of internet trolling, as in trolling through the internet. Trolling, whatever, and I found a few things here, and I thought I'd share them with you. So this is his Marcus Ball versus Boris Johnson crowdfunding prosecution thing. So he's raised nearly £300,000 from 8,000 supporters. Okay, because the BBC reported it was only at 200 grand, and another thing said he's got like what was it 6,000 supporters, but he's got 8,000 now. So that's obviously out of date information I was looking at. So pretty decent. Now, if you notice here, Bankside Commercial, I don't know if I mentioned that before. Actually, let's go to here. Obviously after the comments that chap made, let me just get his name right, Ragnar. I thought, well, let's find out who is he representing himself. I say representing. Is he presenting himself to court, or is he actually being represented by a legal firm? And when I started hearing things about crowdfunding, you know, a properly submitted indictment or a laying of information to the court, I was like, oh, okay, now has he done that himself? That's quite niche information to know how to do it, and also to get the courts to even open up the doors to you, even though they're supposed to. But obviously they don't want every Tom, Dick and Harry coming in. So I was quite curious about that. I thought, oh, has a man finally cracked their system to gain access to their justice system, their criminal justice system, to hold their own people to account? That seems unlikely, and lo and behold, it still has not happened.
Today at Westminster Magistrates Court, I, Marcus J. Ball, on behalf of the prosecution. Right,
okay, so I went over that a bit too quick, but here, let me see if I can turn the volume up a bit. That's max. But anyway, so Marcus J. Ball doesn't seem to appear to know what he's talking about here, because you know,
represented by Bankside Commercial Solicitors and today at Westminster Magistrates Court.
Yeah, that's what's behind him. It's awfully fun.
I, Marcus J. Ball, on
hand on his chest, okay, because you know that's who I am.
Behalf of the prosecution.
Now he said here, on behalf of the prosecution. Marcus J. Ball is not doing anything on behalf of the prosecution. Marcus J. Ball is the prosecution. So I don't know why he's doing something on his own behalf. I mean, you don't do something on your own behalf. How can you, this nonsense? You are the prosecution, Marcus J. Ball. You wish to bring another man into court to answer for his actions. You wish to bring him in front of the judiciary to have, and also in some respects it'll be the jury or the people. And then, you know, I think the term is God and country. You wish to bring this man before God and country to have him answer for his actions, and to find him guilty or not guilty of a crime.
prosecution, represented by Bankside Commercial Solicitors.
Now this is when I realised, he has got representation, he's not doing it on his own. So the Bankside Commercial Solicitors...
And barristers Lewis Power QC.
So he's got some barristers to obviously present and speak in court because he can't do it himself. He needs someone to come and present all the evidence for him.
Colin Witcher and Anthony Iskander have filed an application for a summons against the proposed defendant, Mr. Boris Johnson.
I don't know what a proposed defendant... Why? How can you propose a defendant? He either is a wrongdoer or a defendant. How can you propose something? You know, the proposed murderer, the proposed defendant. You know, has he done it or not? Why would you propose him? He is the defendant in your case, or he isn't.
The prosecution alleged that Mr. Johnson has committed 3 counts of misconduct in public office. It is alleged that Mr. Johnson, acting as a Member of Parliament and as the Mayor of London, made statements concerning the cost of European Union membership, which were false, misleading, and which abused public trust.
Now, on that basis, putting information on the bus that is incorrect is false, misleading, and an abuse of public trust. Now, I mean, it's just inaccurate, really. I don't know how you're going to prove it's false, misleading, and an abuse of public trust. I don't know how that's gonna wash. But anyway, it's his wish. And by that I mean Marcus's wish to bring this prosecution against Boris Johnson, and so his wish has been granted by the legal people who are working on his behalf, who will take their fees, and also the grantor of the wish, which would be the judiciary, having had a brief look at the evidence and also the political element as well, in relation to, is this a vexatious or a politically motivated case, which, you know, definitely some questions have to be brought about that. You know, he's not going after a nobody, he's going after Boris Johnson. So anyway, so after doing that, I did a little bit of rooting around, and this is his crowdfunding page, and I think this is one of the most recent updates, if I remember rightly. Yeah, 29th of May. So what's basically changed in his videos, this Marcus guy's videos, is that he's very much now he's not allowed to really to be presenting, or he's not at least presenting his own self to the cameras anymore and updating his YouTube channel. If I go to his YouTube channel now, you can very much see he's being spoken for. I mean, well, that was his last 3 weeks ago, but the most recent turn of events, which very much went in his favour, you know, his solicitor basically says he's not, you know, he's not speaking anything, and then at the end he's like,
of respecting the court process.
you know, he's like,
it's become very sensitive. Say very much.
yes.
Long story short, I cannot say very much.
So I cannot say very much. But the thing is, right, I can see why you have to respect the court's decision, but essentially until court moves forward, there's not much you can say anyway, because until the next day arrives, you're not giving away anything that the people, you know, anyone can walk into a courtroom and watch what's going on. It's a public, that's what open justice, a public building. So, you know, the idea you can't speak about what's happened in court of that day, in my opinion, is a bit of a nonsense. You could have walked in and looked at it yourself. So what exactly are you disclosing which wasn't aired in public anyway? So, I mean, this is obviously some sort of confidentiality thing that he's doing with either his solicitors or for the sake of strengthening his case or not prejudicing the case in the public eye. Presumably something along that lines, but I'm not really, you know, if you've got a case and you're passionate about, you know, someone's robbed your phone out your hand, you'd come out of court and say, look, yeah, I'm adamant he robbed me, I saw him, that's the guy there, you know, I've gone to the judge, he's agreeing with me, we've got a court, he's issued out a summons or a warrant, and now he's going to come in and have to answer for his crimes. These are my 5 witnesses, they all saw him do it, and now we're going to have our day in court. Yeah, we're going to nail the dirtbag, you know, that kind of thing. So now this is all very wishy-washy now. I'm a bit, you know, which is a bit weird. You know, it's very obviously much in the legal domain. So, don't make yourself liable for anything. Don't say anything that's going to jeopardise the case. But you know, the only way you're going to jeopardise the case is when you speak to the jury, and the jury thinks you're full of poop. So anyway, so there's his crowdfunding, and his lawyers now, Bankside Commercial, are actually commentating on his GoFundMe. So they're actually taking control in the sense, or at least they have I don't know if they had the login for this, or they've required the login for it, or they're just saying, hey, put this on your GoFundMe page, and it's like, oh, that's very interesting. So his goal is 500 grand. Something else I looked at here, there's a very interesting publication. A few of these publications are going around now, and some people have done a few digging into the finances of this particular chap. And what seems to have happened is he started up a company in 2016, which was Brexit Justice or something like that Limited. Let me have a look. I've got that here. So overview. Yeah, so Brexit Justice, private limited company. Yeah, I think, yeah, we are. So 12th of December 2016. Apparently he stopped what he's doing. He went to start a company, and he's basically done it. So that's his Brexit Justice company, and then that's his lawyers. I looked at. I mean, this is his offices, where he's registered to, in Canterbury, which is a lovely little part of the world. And then you got this lovely little article here, which goes into some detail. And one of the things that stuck out in my mind, which is obviously there to stick out in our minds, is when you're reading through, is like, in September 2018, Ball uploaded a video to YouTube titled "Boris Johnson, I Want to Prosecute You." The 2 years had gone by since he had created his hashtag Brexit Justice crowdfunder. So yeah, so he started the crowdfunder and started, this is like an idea, went hand in hand. I'll start a company, limited company, and I'll start up a crowdfunder to try and take this guy to court for lying over the Brexit like cost per week that Boris Johnson, that is being the accused, has plastered on his bus and basically expressed to the public. There had been another crowdfunding in which he had asked his backers to pay him a salary to work full time on the case. He had received 29,000, which detracted crowdfunder fees and VAT shrunk to about 24,000. Holy crap. Going through the expense report provided a window on how Ball's life was unfolding. Expenses covering law books and payments to video makers for the production and promotion of promotional material appear side by side with purchases of self-defense courses as Ball grows preoccupied with his safety. Someone told him, "Go kill yourself," while an ominous message informed him that he was being watched. Well, we're all being watched, aren't we? At some point in mid-2018, Ball severed a relationship with EMM. Oh, right, okay, so this is his previous law firm, and hired another law firm, Bankside Commercial Solicitors, which we've just found out in that video that we just watched with him, and it goes through the names that he's already mentioned. Ball had to launch a third crowdfunding to help the case going, but he says he relied on credit cards and bank overdrafts for personal expenses. The case had completely taken over his life. He often complained that he missed spending time with more time interacting with people. In the "I Want to Prosecute You" video, a jubilant Ball looks smirkingly into the camera. Now, to be fair, he has got a smirky face, so I don't know if it's his natural look or he is actually just laughing his own arse off at what's going on here. But the thing is, if there is any element of smirky, frivolous, you've got an issue about this prosecution and it's going to blow up in your face, that smirk will be taken straight off his face. You don't joke around with the courts. You don't, this is why Lady Justice wears a blindfold and a sword. You can bring anyone you like to court, but if you don't win your day and you bring a false claim before court, that blindfold and that sword is for you to fall on your own sword. So whatever you want of Boris Johnson, now I don't know what he's demanding of Boris Johnson. Apparently for this kind of crime you can spend, the maximum penalty is life in prison. So there's 3 counts, which are 3 life sentences in prison. So if you don't provide proof enough to win the day, then that sword will be turned on you. And what exactly are you going to offer for bringing this false charge against Boris Johnson, or at least in some case a charge that didn't stick? There's going to be it's not a game. The law system and the courts of law are not a game. Okay. Yeah, over 200. So all the research was ready. Documents created by Ball personally amounted to 220,000 words. I mean, I don't know how much you would need to just stick a red. Your exhibit A would be the picture of the bus with the words, with Boris Johnson outside of it, maybe a few witnesses who were there at the time, and you would explain that to the jury. I mean, 220,000 words. You expect the jury to go through that? You expect the bloody prosecution, the judge, to go through that? It's ridiculous. He's bought his legal books at great expense, and he's pumping out a pseudo-legal case to argue his point. And this is why he's ended up with 220,000 words. My God, get a life. and soon his legal team would be ready to lay information before magistrates' court. Hello, Boris Johnson. I'm a private prosecutor, and I hate lying in politics and stuff like that. So there we go. I wonder if it's... Did I mention his salary? It did say somewhere about his salary that he took out was something like 18 grand a year. Yeah, so that's the expenses that he's claimed. So I don't know the rules with crowdfunding, but obviously your time is money. So if you're allowed to withdraw a salary from the company from which you're funneling the donations to, I don't know. Who knows? But that's interesting, isn't it? I thought that was interesting. So this is Bankside Commercial now. This is his new solicitor firm. I say new, but his most recent solicitor firm who've issued a statement on the same day. And this is their press release. So by all means, have a little read of that if you are so interested. But that's it. So that's after a bit of digging. It's amazing what information you can find on the internet about what's going on. And I just find it really interesting that Bankside Commercial is updating his crowdfunding page. I mean, call me a cynic, but have they got the passwords and control over this now? Have they stepped in and said, no, you need to give us control of that, because obviously you can't pay yourself out of this account. It's not proper behaviour, but you can certainly pay us our legal fees, because that's what the fund is essentially for, So it kind of is in their interest to take control of this, to ensure that they get payment. This money will obviously start to drain down, and that will be the end of that. So there we go. Here he is. Ball versus Johnson case at Magistrates Court. It's all a bit of a jolly. Our good friend here, Marcus J. Ball, with an unfortunate smirk on his face. I have a good strong feeling that he's going to end up with... what's the worst case scenario that can happen? Well, he's going to be found innocent. Boris Johnson's expressed a lot of his wasted time, stress and worry over this case, which has not been proved. So then he's got court costs to pay, presumably, maybe even legal costs to pay on Boris Johnson's side. Then you have the possibility of him then being countersued for damages, and those damages can be going up and up and up. And if he can't pay them, then will his company be will his company be folded? Will he have debts he can't pay? Will he have to declare bankruptcy? Will he be struck off from being a director of a company for God knows how many years? I mean, there's all kinds of weird possibilities that happen in their legal world, and I'm sure he's playing in the deep. This is not a joke, and he's playing in the deep end. So maybe he should have learned a bit more about what he's doing before he goes and say, Daddy, we lost Brexit. I must do something about it. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens. My predictions are out there. Let's hope they come true.